With us now is Arnold Levine. Welcome, Arnold. How are you today?
I'm pretty good, thank you.
Good. So you're calling in from Florida in this new technology. You've always been one to embrace technology all throughout your music career, through your art career. So even though we were trying this last month, at least today, we figured it out. So talk to us about the early days in your career, how you started out.
I joined CBS Records, it was in 1964. And I came from Esquire magazine, a whole different culture. And when I came to CBS Records, the first day I started, they flew me to Vegas for my first convention. Mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. And I got to see what product presentation was all about. The conventions were, they took 1,200 people from all over the world and moved them into a convention site and showed them product presentations. This is what the company was going to be selling for the next 6 months. And it was slides, automated, technology, very expensive, and you could never use it again. Because to set it up to see it again, you couldn't. You'd have to set up all of that equipment, put it in a room, and it was just not a great idea. And so we did that for a number of years. They did 2 conventions a year, July and January. And in 1967, Clive went to Monterey Pop Festival and came back and he said, rock and roll. We had no idea what that was about. We were called a good music company, and it was Percy Faith, it was Andy Williams, it was Tony Bennett, it was music of that kind. And we now had the word rock and roll. And so we needed to go out and find out what that was all about. The whole culture at the company changed. The whole attitude changed. How we interface with each other changed. Because these funny people came walking in with funny clothes, and it was amazing. Clive, after coming back from Monterey Pop, signed Janis Joplin. When he signed Janis, he decided to sign her in the conference room on the 10th floor where my offices were. And after the meeting, Clive came into my office and he was absolutely white. I said, what was the problem? He said, well, before we signed the contract, one of the guys from Big Brother jumped up on the table, dropped his pants, he was totally naked, and said to me, before you sign this contract, Clive, I just want you to know what you're in for. And so that was the beginning of our life with rock and roll.
So in the early days of this time, so you're there, Clive Davis is there, people are starting out in this new experience. What was your day-to-day responsibilities then, Arnold? What were you in charge of at that point?
There were two creative departments. There was the advertising creative services, and there was packaging creative services. And I headed up advertising creative services. Packaging was the more feet, advertising was the lower end, and packaging was the higher end. And so what happened after a period of time, my boss left, and the product presentations were very important to the company because it gave the idea to all the salespeople as to what they were going to be selling for the current season. And I always felt badly that these elaborate shows that were put on had no value after that particular day. And so when my boss left, I went to Clive and I said to him, we need to change this. We need to do something else. We need to have something that had some benefits that we could use afterwards. And he said, well, what are you talking about? I said, why don't we do a film? Why don't we film all of the artists that are going to be delivering product in the next 6 months and showcase it at the conventions? He says, and then what will we do with it? I said, well, maybe we can cut it up into clips and pieces and show it at retail. And That's what we decided to do. In 1971, we made the first product presentation on film, and I was in charge of that. And it was called Different Strokes. And it was an hour and a half. We went out and filmed a number of artists, filmed their music, filmed them live, and presented that at the convention. And then afterwards, we cut up the pieces and built Fairchild machines. They were 8 millimeter machines that went into retail. And we built record displays around the machines and supplied the accounts with music, video music. Now, to my knowledge, that had never existed before.
And one of the early artists that you used very successfully was Meatloaf, correct? You launched his whole career as a point of purchase experience. Wasn't that one of the ones that was most successful for you back then?
The question was always, okay, we can do this at retail. We can set up these machines. I don't know how many machines that we need. We picked like 500 stores around the country and put these machines in. We didn't know whether we could actually sell music on a very large scale with these video machines. So Meatloaf was traveling through Europe, and word came back that he was not doing extremely well. And we decided to bring him back and do a film. We did it half an hour. It was 3 songs, because his songs were so long that they were 13 minutes and 12 minutes long, and 3 songs filled a half an hour. And so Bat Out of Hell, 2 out of 3, became the film that we sent out to Europe. We sent it to Europe, and they played it on television, and then he went back and toured again. And as a result of that film, he became a major star. In England, in France, in Germany, they played it on television constantly. And so, the rest was history. Meatloaf became a star, and they got to see that this video idea could actually sell product if they could get it in a big enough venue that could showcase all the time. As we were doing this, NBC came and had meetings with us and said, are you guys going to continue doing this? Because we're seeing other record companies who are getting the idea, and we're going to put together a network. Would you continue doing this idea? And MTV was born.
That's right, right?
Yeah.
That's right. It's like the
MTV.
M, the T, and the V. That's the moment that it happened. A lot of people didn't realize that, Arnold, and that was one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show, is that things that are now in existence once weren't in existence. And it takes creators and people that have vision in order to bring things forth into a reality. And even the technology that we're using today didn't exist a few years ago, and here it is, right? And we're using it. So you've always been an early adopter of those things and an innovator, so much so that you've been recognized amongst your peers for your greatness in several categories. But I do see 3 Grammys sitting behind you. What did you win those for?
I was a designer. I was an art director designer, and then I became an executive, and I don't know whether that was a blessing or a curse, because the department grew to 125 people. We did everything in-house. We did the packaging, we did the point of purchase, we did the radio, we did the television commercials. Everything was done internally. And it was a very successful department because the labels wanted to see their material right away and have control over it, and they liked working with us. So I was like a separate unit within the company itself. So the more I did taking care of a department, the less I was liking myself in terms of my own craft and my own skills. And so 5 years before I retired, I decided that I was going to do a series of packages for Miles Davis. Miles left the company, and he left enough music for 49 discs. And so they decided that they were going to put together box sets, and they came to me and they said, we'd like to do this. Okay. Uh, I started by saying, let me see what I don't want to do. Box sets traditionally were big pieces of cardboard in boxes where you opened the lid and were compartments where there were 6 or 7 CDs, a booklet, and then and they were not terribly portable. They were large, and I started with the idea of what do you not want to do, and finally I got to the point of what I did want to do, and I decided to put together a series of packages. I'm just going to show you something. Um,
Okay. I love show and tell. Oh, very
these,
nice.
and you can cut, Lou, to the email that I sent you, but these packages, they had slip cases, they were portable, you could actually put it in your pocket. It had a 250-page book inside, and each spine had a metal spine that was part of Miles's culture in terms of what trumpets he was playing at the time. He played gold trumpets, he played a black trumpet, he played a blue trumpet, he played a silver trumpet. And so for the period of time that the music was in this box set, I referred back to the trumpets that he was playing at that particular time. Interesting.
Very nice.
Every year I did one, they were nominated for a Grammy, and every year they won. I did 4 of them. 4 of them were nominated, 3 of them were Grammys. The last Grammy, which was the Coltrane Miles Davis piece, the last Grammy I won 3 months after I had left the company, which is a hell of a way to retire. My wife would say to me, you won last year. I was nominated again. You won last year. You're not going to win this year. I'm not coming with you to to California. Okay. I said, here's the deal. If I win, I get up on the stage. I don't thank you. So she was with my daughter at the time, and they were watching TV, and all she could say at that particular time was, oh my God, I should have been.
Aw.
Interesting. Interesting. But
Well, Arnold, thank you very, very much. One of the things I wanted to ask you too before we part is that you worked with Lou Vaccarelli, who's now my executive producer, and
yes.
so any thoughts or anecdotes or a funny shared moment that you'd like to share? G-rated, of course, but and any projects come to mind that you enjoyed working with Lou on?
Uh, God, there were so many stories. I spent 30 years with the company, and after 30 years, it was just nothing more that I wanted to do anymore. After the Grammys, anecdotally, I don't know. I did Bruce Springsteen's first video, which was interesting for me because Bruce hated video and he didn't want to do this. And we were shooting him, and after a while, he came to me and he said to me, that woman that jumped up on the stage, she put her tongue so far into my mouth I couldn't breathe. We were filming this in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's just stories. The story I told you previously was when NBC came to visit us in terms of Janis Joplin and signing her. My biggest problem, Clive said to me, come to a meeting tomorrow. My biggest problem when I went home was, what is I going to wear? We were a good music company, and my life got the best of me. I put on a jacket and a shirt and a tie. And I walked in, he looks at me, and he said to me, what the hell are you wearing?
You weren't rock and roll enough back then,
I
right?
was not only rock and roll, I was supposed to represent creative and the new culture. And here this guy walks in with a shirt and a tie and a jacket. Old habits don't die, right?
I just want to tell you thank you for spending some time with us today. And I hope that in the future you'll be a guest again because you've got so much experience You know, you're a legend and you've worked with many legends. And I do truly appreciate you spending a little time with us today. And we'll invite you back again if you'd like to come back on again.
I will leave you with one more anecdote.
Okay.
My boss, I went to him. My life was so hectic. Not only was I doing filming and traveling a great deal, but I was running a department of 125 people. And I sat down with him one day and I said to him, "How do you get out of this job?" He says to me, "You die." Well, Paul, you're gone. I'm still here.
You're still rocking and rolling, as they say.
Still rock and roll.
Thank you, Arnold. Be well. Happy journeys to you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.